Hello friends, Tanya here. I am playing with some Spellbinders Joyful Christmas Collection products. This is a line that came out with Simon Hurley partnering with Spellbinders, and I'm going to start with this gorgeous floral stag die. There are several elements that contribute to the stag. We've got a die that cuts the muzzle, we have a die that cuts the antlers, we have a die that cuts the insides of the ears and the nose and the eyes, all of the pieces. I had a vision to create a card with a male and a female deer on the front, and I wanted it to be either a wedding or an anniversary card or some kind of congratulations to the couple kind of card. I took the main body of the deer and die cut that from some brown cardstock, some of a light craft colored cardstock, and I took the I think this is brushed corduroy, one of the distress inks, and a blending brush, and added some extra detail to these die cuts. Now I'm going to assemble one of these. I took a piece of black cardstock and I'm going to glue that behind the eyes. I just like how this looks better than if I had tried to take the die cuts for the eyes and put them in the place for the eyeballs. Eyes are a little recessed, and I did contemplate giving them a little bit of a glaze look, and I might go back and do that, the nose and the eyes, but we'll see. Sometimes that backfires on me and I get stuff where I don't want it. The muzzle actually has two pieces, the top of the snout and the chin. And you can see where they go very easily because there are embossed lines on the main frame of, or the main image die cut for the stag, in addition to on each of the layering pieces. So you'll be able to tell where each piece goes. The antlers have this convenient little roundish area at the bottom where you can put your adhesive, and there's little notches at the top of the head that kind of suggest where the antlers should sit. The insides of the ears, I did die cut that from the same cardstock. The muzzle and the insides of the ears were cut from the same cardstock as the body of the deer. But since I ink blended it, the muzzle is a different color. And the ears, I just used a pink Copic marker to color. I assembled the female deer the same way, I just left the antlers off. Now we're going to move on to the background. I'm going to pull out the Geo Snowflakes hot foiling plate. I love this hot foil plate. And as always, I like to make 5x7 cards, so I'm showing you how to adapt this. I've taped this to a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock, and I stuck some of the new satin gold foil, which I am loving this color. It is so beautiful and it foils gorgeous. So to line this up, I've taken my fine tip Sharpie and I'm marking the spots where there's just the little end of the snowflakes showing that would line up with the pattern, and I'm going to lay that on the pattern, or excuse me, the paper, and tape it in place where I know I'm going to end up trimming it off anyway. So if the foil comes off with the tape, it's not a big deal. And then I will put the foil back under. I am so happy with the way this one turned out. I wasn't sure if the marks were going to line up appropriately, and look at that. Gorgeous. Nearly flawless. I just love it. Then to add some matting on behind our stag and his friend, to make them stand out better against this very gorgeous background, I took the Essential Diamonds dies and I cut two of those, one from the crumb cake or the craft colored cardstock and one from some cream colored cardstock. And you may have noticed there was some beautiful texture on that cream colored piece. Well, I had taken the foil plate to my die cutting machine and used the embossing mat, the silicone or rubber mat, and the sandwich to create some embossing, like a letter plate design. And that turned out just scrumptious. I love how this turned out. It is really following my vision. So I adhered our trimmed down panel that was foiled. I trimmed it down to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. I did add a little extra cardstock on the back and adhered that to the card base. And then I did the same with the other layers. Now you can see our stag and his girlfriend who have all of this gorgeous foliage. I did add a little extra dimension behind each of them also. And now I'm going to take these pieces of foliage that came from the Floral Stag Die set. I had die cut them from various greens, and I'm putting a little glue in and tucking them behind the antlers. Now you can see that I use some press and seal to do my planning, and then I can just use the press and seal to keep it all in place until I'm ready to actually adhere things. We've got 3 different kinds of foliage on each side of this fella's antlers, and I think they tuck in just beautifully. I love this look, foliage and flowers in with your woodland creatures. I just think it is so pretty. Now we're going to do the female deer, the doe. So we've got a doe and a stag. And most of my flowers came off, but I really did understand already what I wanted to do with these pieces. Now, this doe doesn't have antlers out of horns, but these oak leaf branches kind of look like they take the place of antlers. I've kind of used the notches in the top of her head to place those branches, and we're going to tuck in some more foliage. The foliage is all going down first, and the flowers will go on last and create kind of a flower crown. I'm going to take the 2 smaller flowers, and these are layered, and that's part of the beautiful design of the Floral Stag die cuts. And then we'll take a slightly larger round flower and place that right in the center. I do want a little extra dimension, so I'm adding just a little snippet of some coaster blank here. I use that all the time. If you follow me very long, you know that I use it all the time. It is just simply a pulp board coaster that doesn't have any advertising on it. I will link that in the description box if you're interested in that. Otherwise, you can use your favorite method of adding dimension. I just wanted it a little higher than the other elements. For our sentiment, we're going to use a sentiment from Sentiments for Every Day. This is a foiling and die set that came out, man, I think this came back out in May. Was a while ago. We're going to use the same foil, which is the satin gold, which comes in either the satin metallics or the sparkle Christmas. These are boxes with 4 different foil sets, and they just came out last month, like in September, and they're gorgeous. I need to buy more of the organizing racks for the foils because I filled mine and I need one more. So that's going on my next order. Just saying. Keeps everything all neat and tidy. I did cut several, I think I cut 2 extra layers because the paper I use for foiling is an 80-pound super smooth, so it's actually kind of flimsy, and I wanted a little extra heft. So I did do some layering and then added that to the front of her card. And you know me, I have to decorate the inside, so we added some more foliage and some of the leftover florals. I had cut a whole bunch of flowers when I die cut all of this because I wasn't sure what I was going to exactly do with the flower crown or how much foliage and flowers I was going to need on the front of the card. I just had this thought that I wanted to make the stag and the doe together, the buck and the doe together. And then I didn't know where I wanted to go with it from there. There are lots of examples with the stag surrounded by flowers, which is gorgeous. I just wanted to go another direction. He's still surrounded by flowers, sort of, but now he's got a friend. I do add just one more little tiny piece here to our inside of the card, and that is card number 1. We are now going to move to card number 2, and I'm going to take this die set. It's called Candy Stripes, and it cuts these beautiful diagonal stripes. Now, if you take 2 of them and flip one over, you can make a plaid. So you have them wrong sides together. If you're a sewer, that really makes sense. So I just added glue to the border. This does cut an A2 sized panel. You can either do it with just the stripes or you can do it with the border. I did use the border also. So these would be the same exact size. I only put glue on the outer perimeter. I did not feel the need to add glue to all of those pieces in between. We just need it to stay stuck to itself. Next, I took a piece of slightly lighter red cardstock and this mica stain spray from the Distress line. This is the Cocktail Party spray, and spritz that over the entire panel. Now I'm going to glue this to the card front, which is an A2 size card, 4.5 by 5.25. No, 4.25 by 5.5 inch. I know I don't make A2 size very often, but sometimes it's okay, and that's the size that this product was sized for. So I'm going to add again just glue on the perimeter, and I think I add like just a couple spots right in the middle on a couple of these lines, not much at all. I didn't feel the need to keep all of that adhered down. I love how the mica stain shimmers through and adds that extra punch of gorgeousness. I do add some extra weight with my Misty, and then we're going to pull out the Winter Woodland stamp set with coordinating dies. There is a gorgeous holly leaf branch with a bird that I'm going to stamp and color. I've done this with Copic markers, and I did add a little extra sparkle to the berries. I did actually also take another layer of the cardstock to add to the back. This is the Sparkle Clear Lacquer Pen from Hero Arts. I just pulled that from my stash and added some sparkle to the berries. Here are all of these gorgeous foiled sentiments that foil all at once and then die cut all at once in the Joyful Christmas Sentiments foil plate and cutting die set. This is another Simon Hurley product, and I love that it's all one piece. You're not fiddling. You tape it all down once. You cut it all once. It's amazing. I love it. Now I'm taking this beautiful little bird and holly branch and adhering that to the front of the card. And since my lacquer pen drawing on the berries wasn't dry, and all of those stripes weren't completely adhered, I did take a couple moments to put some extra pressure on various areas to make sure it adhered well. I also took one of these sentiments that I'd hot foiled and adhered that to the front, and we're going to add some extra pizzazz to the front with some gold baubles here. This could, I don't happen to have the fashion gold baubles that Spellbinders sells. They are self-adhesive, so you could just pick them up and drop them right on your card. I happen to have some from Trinity Stamps. These are, you have to adhere them with your glue. And I love the Barely Art Precision Glue. I've been using it for almost 2 years now. I should have used the Seasons Tweetings stamp from the stamp set. I just forgot it was there. That would have been perfect for this image. However, this makes it a little more classy and a little less punny. So if that's what you're going for, go for it. I did take another sentiment from the stamp set to stamp on the inside, and here you see me doing a practice run to make sure I'm not going to mess up my sentiment stamping since I chose not to use my Misty. And this cute little branch of holly and berries comes from the Floral Stag die set. And I had assembled that while I was assembling all the other things. I'm trying to remember what that says on the inside of the card. And you know what? Instead of trying to read it on the super tiny print on the picture that I see, I'm going to open the card. It says, "Sending Christmas Cheer." I frequently have my cards right next to me when I'm doing the filming, but I almost never remember to look at them while I'm doing this. Not while I'm filming, while I'm doing the voiceover. Okay, again, we're going to do the Geo Snowflakes, and this time we are foiling on an 4.25 by 5.5 inch panel with Prism. I wanted to make this look like a snowy night sky, so I'm going to ink blend with Salvage Patina, Prize Ribbon, and Villainous Potion. I think these make a great night sky We're going to start out with the Salvage Patina on the bottom and ink blend that, and then we'll add the prize ribbon and go back and forth between those two until they have a nice blend, and then the Villainous Potion, and we'll do the same thing again. It does take a little bit of effort to get these to blend together, but as you go back and forth between the colors, you get that beautiful night sky blend. And the Prism hot foil really shines through these dark colors, which is exactly what I was looking for. I'm going to be making a tag this time, and I had to dig through my stash and find some goodies that had been released actually not all that long ago. There's so much new stuff out there. It's hard to remember to use, or hard to find time to use all of the good stuff. There is that beautiful shimmer from that Prism. And then this is the Create a Decorative Tag Die. This again came out, I think, in May. I think it was during the Big Birthday Bash release. I'm going to die cut that from our ink blended piece and from a piece of heavyweight white cardstock to back our tag. I want it to be nice and sturdy and have the back of it be clean without any smudges from the ink blending and cut marks from the cutting plate when we die cut this. Just use my Barely Art glue to adhere those together. And we have a nice, sturdy, pretty tag. We're going to use the Winter Woodland stamps again. I've got these two cute bears, and it says, "We come bearing gifts," which is perfect for a gift tag. I've stamped these two cute little bears on some white cardstock, and I'm going to Copic marker color or alcohol marker color these. I'm using 4 different E30s for the bears. I'm using E39 and 37 for the main body of each bear, and I think I'm using E34 and E33 for the muzzle. Now those aren't very different, and you could certainly color these as black bears, brown bears, panda bears, polar bears, whatever you would like. But I just thought brown. Actually, I was going for black bear, but I didn't want to make the coloring so dark. They color up pretty easily. They're pretty simple images, and you can do as much or as little blending as you want. I did, of course, stamp once and color, and then I have them still lined up in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp a couple of times to sharpen and brighten those the outlines of the images, just to make them that much more crisp. There are coordinating dies for the bears, so I cut those and some extras so we'd have extra sturdiness and to cover the alcohol marker that bleeds through to the back of the paper, because parts of these bears are going to show on the back of the tag. Next, I am stamping the sentiment in some VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink, and I did do that twice so we would get a nice solid coverage. And I did pull out my Icicle Brutus Monroe embossing powder because this has the most solid, raised, gorgeous coverage of all of my clear embossing powders, and we'll heat set that to make it a beautiful standout sentiment. Next, we're going to use one of the precision layering dies. This, I think, is from the A2 sized, it might be B. I'm not sure. I have both of them. They have 1/8 inch increments between the two. And so you have just about every size you could ever imagine. I do some partial die cutting here because it is, of course, not exactly the size I needed. And now we have a perfect cut around our sentiment. I just am not very good at fussy cutting sentiments, especially if they are very blocky. I don't end up cutting very crisply. So dies it is, and I just use what I have and make some adaptations to make them work. Now we're going to adhere everything on our cute little tag. I check where the overlap ends on the big bear and adhere that one down, and then I will do the same with the small bear. I wanted them to look plausibly like they're looking sort of at each other. The little bear seems to be looking up at the big bear, which is so cute. And I thought that I had some purple twine, but I have blue and white striped. I don't know about you, but I have quite a stash of twine. This is not available anymore, I'm sure, at least not from, I think this is old Stampin' Up! Baker's twine. Lawn Fawn carries a lot of Baker's twine yet. You might be able to find a light blue and white together if you are so desiring. I say use whatever twine you have in your stash. Next, I'm adding just 3 different sizes of gems from the Sapphire Color Essentials gems. This is the Sapphire AB, and I think they go perfect with this color scheme. I just added them to the centers of some of the snowflakes. That's all 3 of my projects for today. I hope you see the potential in all of these gorgeous products in the Joyful Christmas line. Let me know which of these projects you enjoyed the most. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, now's the time. If you're interested in any of the products that I used today, check that description box below. They are listed and linked as always. Until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.